Hi, this is Dr. Scott, and today we're going to get into another question. We're going to do some of these short questions, try to make them within a short time frame so you don't have to listen to a very long one. Um, we're doing this because the chat channel was just too much effort for us to keep up with. You can still come and bring us your questions with that too. Write your questions down below here. Happy to add it to the list with that too, and see what we can answer with that stuff too. So I've got lists sitting all over the place to try to answer that. So let's do the first one. Let's do this one actually. Will Trump have to run again? Okay, so this is the big question that was asked. I don't have a person who actually said this question, but here's what people say. After a NESARA is announced and the elections are in 120 days after that announcement, does Trump need to campaign again? Okay, so Trump campaigned in 2016, and Hillary was trying to, fix the vote, right? They caught her, they caught the elites, they unhooked the system so that we got one of our very first elections that made any sense. Okay, and Trump wins without any help. They were freaking out. He won by 302 electoral votes. Now, it's possible that a lot of the other ones that were coming through there were real elections, but yet no one really knew what the deal was with Nancy or Chuck Schumer or Adam or whatever. Pick the person that you don't like. 2020, they didn't allow that. I mean, meaning they allowed the internet capability, they allowed the voting fraud issues, and they were recording them. We also know that in 2018, Trump put together an executive order 13848, which was 9/12 of 2018, and Joe Biden allowed it to happen over and over again, even up through 2024. And so what happens about that is that he said, if you do any kind of election interfering in any type of way, now it's a real open-ended point, we're going to catch you, and it's going to be bad for you. But he put us in a state of emergency in 2018 on. So 2018, 2020, 2022, 2024, all were in that kind of realm. Now, they had ways of watching this. Now, I would have thought we were done in 22, right? But we weren't. Why? Were we done with the elections? Well, no, we had the elections figured out. Were we done with the financial stuff? Little bit, but we weren't, only realizing later, yeah, a little bit, but not all the way there. But what we weren't done with is the war. Now, what she's asking here, and this, I think it was a woman that asked the question, what she's asking here is that she knows we need new elections. The statements have been 120 days after this thing gets fixed, just you have to have new elections. That's all they stipulate in the statements, right? But does Trump have to do it? Now, what we're kind of finding out is that even with all of the stupid these people put together, and I mean, I had to go look through this a little bit more. Kamala spent $1.4 billion in a 90-day time frame. But that isn't all she spent. She actually had maybe $900 to $1 billion other dollars in the Democratic fund when she took over in July-ish of 24 here. So within about a 90-day span, they spent $2.4 billion on an election. No election has even come close. Trump spent $394 million, which is a lot. And I'm sick and tired of those numbers anyway. Why are we spending $300 million for a campaign of that? Let's have it a much more slimmed down thing so a regular person can be able to win presidency. How about that? Okay? But even with $2.4 billion, record beyond belief, they couldn't win. The reality is that Trump won. We know that. He won the popular vote and he won the electoral college. He won it so big that he was a bigly, that even when they tried to mess with the votes, they couldn't do it. We know in 2020 he won by probably about 80%, maybe about somewhere around 80 million to somewhere around 20 for Joe. Kamala didn't get 76 million or 73 million or whatever the stupid number is, 73. She couldn't have got that. She couldn't even get it when Joe was around. And if Joe got 20 million at best, she didn't get anything like that. So does Trump need to do it? Absolutely not. Absolutely 1000% not. But what about Congress and Senate? What about AOC in New York City, where you also had Tina Forte, who is a strong patriot, who should have won. Kim Kalak, I could be saying her name wrong. She's this wonderful, beautiful woman that's walking through the streets of Baltimore in 2020. She's now a radio host, I think it is, or a podcast host. And she was walking through the city talking about things that she would do. And she didn't win, and everyone was behind her. There's so many different people. All these idiots still are there, and we have to have a new vote for that level. But you know what we also need to have is for city, state, and the city and state people. How about city councils, mayors, school boards, all these different areas, a state senate, and a lot of the state senates actually have term limits. But do we have term limits for these two idiots types? No, but we do have term limits for presidencies. We normally have term limits for city and state ones. Now, not every single city or state will have term limits on governors or mayors, but every single one should have term limits, which will how do we say this? Unqualify, deselect anyone out there. So we need to have new elections for this and new elections for these areas. We need all of those. And by the way, this is a great question. I loved it. And what I want you to understand is this. You need to be involved. What are you supposed to do? Are you supposed to be the mayor of your small town? Are you supposed to be on the city council? Are you supposed to be in the school boards? Whatever that might be. Ask the Lord what you're supposed to do. And I'm behind you. Because you know what? I think there's a way for you to actually be in those systems in a very smooth and easy way that you could actually apply to this kind of thing. In essence, apply for the job. I think there's going to be some great things. So back to our initial question, yes, it does have to be 120 days, but it's not about Trump. Thanks so much.